are Confessional Magazine. I am Taywao, and this is More to the Story, brought to you today by Iris and Bo, whose toner helps keep my laugh lines in check, because you never know what our guests are going to say. Visit irisandbo.com today and use code CONFESSIONAL for 20% off. So much love in this heart of mine. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Confessional Magazine, and I am here today with the one and only. I am totally the worst person in the world right now. I'm going to have to start this over. My computer just went down.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. Here we go again. Welcome to Confessional Magazine, and I'm here today with the one and only Michael Zervos, and he is a film producer and director, and he's out of Michigan originally, but he's in Atlanta now, and we're just going to get to know him a little bit better. Thank you so much for being here today, Mike.
It is my pleasure, Taylor.
So what got you started in the film industry?
It was a stereotypical childhood ambition. I can't imagine that my story is any more special than many of my peers who decide to produce and direct movies. You know, growing up with moving pictures was just kind of like it was just a natural thing. I didn't realize it could actually be a career that paid you. I mean, it just seemed like so magical, and like it, you know, that whole idea of the wizard behind the curtain. When I was a kid, I was enamored by the magic of movies, and I used to sit in front of my grandfather. He sat like right behind me in a big chair, and we used to watch these old classic movies, and I could watch these things all the time. I mean, I'd have to be teared away from the screen. But as I got older, I had some roadblocks, and family basically said they kind of stifled my confidence that I could even make it. And this isn't to say that they weren't supportive of my passion, but I think coming from an immigrant household, there was this idea that you should be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something that is stable, that is respectable, that has some type of grounding in reality, maybe. And so, you know, that kind of caught on to me, and I decided, well, I was like accepted into a school to study film, and then I backed out at the last moment. I chickened out, and I went to business school instead. And I went through the whole rigmarole, and I actually was supposed to go into my family's business, which was insurance. And I got my insurance license. I could sell a car insurance to you, homeowner insurance to you. I could actually do that. It's long gone now, but I could actually do that. And I was sitting in my family's office, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I really can't. And eventually, slowly but surely, my family, they were supportive of the decision to go back to film school. I think that some of them knew that was kind of my secret passion, and they're like, okay, let's just exercise that demon out of them. Let's get that out of them, and let's have them. And I went to film school, immediately moved out to LA. I interned for a couple of companies, Anonymous Content and the Cimarron Group, which is now long gone. And it basically gave me a formative experience as to the culture of LA. And immediately I realized I didn't really like it all that much. I thought to myself, I'm not progressing quick enough. I want to be making movies. I want to be shooting movies. I want to be directing movies. And this is just, you know, I'm like sitting at a desk basically doing coverage on a script, which at the time, you know, a lot of people would have loved to do that. But I was just this really impatient young kid that just wanted it now.
Yeah.
So I actually moved back to Michigan. And at the time, there was a film incentive going on. And it was very, very generous, about 42% tax rebate that you could get back, which is better than anything else that has ever been in the United States when it comes to film incentives. And I raised money for my first movie, which I wrote, I directed, I cast, I co-produced. It was monumentally difficult. And were many times in which I had self-doubt throughout the process of making my first feature. But I think I embraced that idea of fake it till you make it. And
Yep.
that's like still to this day, my best advice that I give to people. It's like, there are many paths to get into this thing and no two ones are the same.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my foray into the industry, how I directed my first movie, and then everything else kind of followed suit. I started getting calls, commercial work, feature work, and it was flattering and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you're paving this path for yourself, and you're sitting back to wait and see what happens after maybe your family said, hey, this isn't the best thing, but we'll let you go. But you're
Yeah.
you decided to just do it, and now you've succeeded. And what was it like to see your first film like on the screen? Like, that had to have been just almost unexplainable.
Yeah, okay, so this is a very interesting thing about my first film, and this surprises a lot of people. I never released my first feature. I was never happy with it. So that should have killed my career right then and there. It should have. There's no reason why I should have had a career. I raised a bunch of money, more than any 23-year-old should have been able to. And I had investors and I had a Kickstarter, and I didn't finish. I finished it. I just wasn't satisfied with it. I had this idea that it had to be perfect. And I saw it, on a big screen as kind of like a several screenings through color correction, post audio. I mean, we were getting it ready for film festivals, for the Thessaloniki Film Festival in Greece, which was a very prestigious film festival. And well, they wanted to cut portion of my film, and I refused to do it. And so that kind of gave me this idea, like, is it good enough? Is like, what should I do? And I just stubbornly didn't release it.
So now you're just holding on to this, and this, you still have it, obviously.
I have it in a deep, dark closet in an undisclosed location. And who knows what'll happen? Maybe I'll go back one day and re-edit it. But we also had some serious issues with the post-production house, which actually lost some of our footage. We had it on backup, and they requested that backup drive. So the post-production supervisor accidentally deleted some of the scenes in which I was going to cut and re-edit, and he admitted to it. And then the backup drive, when the company went bankrupt over the course of post-production, they sold it along with all these other assets in a fire sale.
That is wild.
Yeah. So it was a tragedy. It was horrible, especially for something so personal. It was a story that I wrote and directed, and it was really a grassroots thing. I think at the time I was the youngest film director to win a film incentive in the state of Michigan, and there was a lot of press behind it and expectations, and it hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's wild. So going from that, what was your next project? How did you like step out of that like feeling of like, ugh, like what just happened?
Yeah. I worked with pretty tremendous people over the course of that project. Some incredible collaborators who are doing things that I feel like I can be proud of as friends and colleagues of them. Even though I contributed very little to it, just seeing their success happen was tremendous. And many of them ended up, after seeing this young idiot, at least put together a feature film by himself, they called me up and they're like, hey, we need help raising money. We need help directing, producing, whatever it might be. And I started small. I did some shorts. I was called up to assistant direct a musical, and then it turned out that musical, it was actually a friend of mine growing up, and he had spent some $200,000 or $300,000 on not a single frame that he could use. He just wasted it. And he's like, Michael, I need an experienced producer to come on and help. So that was me coming back to feature film work, and it was difficult. I mean, it was the first musical that I'd ever created. It was 4 times the budget of my previous film, and it was extremely esoteric in its message. It was beautiful. It was shot over like 2 years, 2.5 years, edited over 2 more years. It was a passion, a labor of love.
I was going to say, even within, so this movie, can you tell us the name of it?
Yeah, Tommy battles the Silver Sea Dragon.
Yeah, so within the first like 30 seconds of this movie, it's this man walking out of the ocean and he's not dressed. And all of a sudden these clothes are getting thrown and tossed on him, and he's fully dressed within like this whole thing. And then he screams, and it's just the way that it's that intro is like, okay, I have to watch the rest of this.
It was the script was incredibly powerful, and the director, was a first-time director, and he needed somebody to have his back creatively and organizationally. And we were not close in high school and middle school, but we became very close through basically what I kind of attribute to the creation of a film is very much like a band of brothers in war or conflict. I mean, it's like it's a battle, an artistic battle, and yeah, I mean, the opening was fantastic, and what he wrote in the libretto with all of the songs which he composed first and then put to picture was truly remarkable and very faithful to the script itself. I was truly captivated by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see everybody's crafts, but there's so many different crafts that go into movies that sometimes people don't even know the half of it, that like what it really takes to make a good movie. So like, what would you say is the most challenging part of being a producer in film?
The most challenging thing depends on what kind of support system you have. You are not Stanley Kubrick. You are not. I love the mythical idea of the auteur. I find it fascinating. I find it captivating, and ultimately very quaint, because the support system you have to have in order to create something is not like an artist's brush to a canvas. Mm-hmm. It is a collaborative effort where if people screw up, it costs money and you have a limited amount of money. It's not like any other art form. It's extremely expensive. It takes a lot of time, and there are constant risks. And I think the most challenging thing about being a producer is finding collaborators who believe in that message, in the story. Whether you got $100 million film or you have a $10 million or $10,000 film, it really requires people to believe in the vision of the director, and then the director to trust the creative process. And as a producer, you're shepherding the entire thing, and you lay this massive weight on your shoulders of often unsung countless hours and toil, and you get to walk the red carpet, I guess, but it's not necessarily your creative vision. You are a support to the director. But if you have a good creative relationship with the director, as I have on multiple films, and as a director myself, I've had good people to work with, it makes the producer's job and the director's job remarkably more challenging. And I always say this: the making a movie is 100 miracles, small miracles, for which the director takes credit for, and for which he had no instantiation to create.
Yeah. I've never heard that before, but yeah. So what is your favorite kind of film, like genre of film to work on? Like if you could choose what project, what type would you pick?
I mean, I've done horror, historical, documentary. I've done magic surrealism, musical, of course, family drama. I'm back to documentaries right now. I mean, I really go where the story is. And my genres, I don't let genre dictate my path. I think that's for the marketers. If you're making your own money, honestly, you don't have to worry about genre all that much. But when you start working in the studio system, they do care a little bit more because genres are marketable. You know, an action movie costs a lot of money. I mean, there's a lot of things to be had. But if the story's good, I don't really care.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's the more you say yes, the more your name is out there and the more passion projects you can find and get working on that way.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a calculated yes, because I like to be the kind of person who, if it's my vision, from my mind to basically the lips of my peers, and then it comes back to me and we feed in this creative cycle. I want the people that I'm working with to believe in it, and if I'm the producer, if I'm a fellow creative alongside, I want to believe wholeheartedly in it. So my yeses are frugal, if you will, because you have to live so long with the film.
Yeah,
you have to love it. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yeah. I mean, you want to go to work and like what you're doing every day, and you're the one getting to make the choice whether you say yes or no. Someone's not assigning this to you. You're getting to say like whether you want to do it or not. So I totally can see that and respect that. So what's the documentary that you're working on now?
Well, I can only talk about it in broad strokes, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it is a music documentary about a very well-known musician in the soul music genre. I would say somebody who everybody would know. And it's a tremendous story. It's a fantastic, inspirational story that I think speaks to the times right now. And the actions of this individual I think will echo past, into generations in the future. And I think it's somebody that deserves to have his story told, because it's never been made in movie or biographical literary film. So I'm dropping things.
Yeah.
Go figure it out on your own.
My wheels are turning, but I won't say anything. That's exciting. Do you know when-ish this will be brought to the public?
With documentaries, no.
Okay.
Documentaries are my first company that I started was called Mother and Midwife Pictures. One of the reasons why I called it that is because I believe that the process of making a movie is like the birthing of the conception and caring of a child in the womb. Whatever you put inside your body, whatever you listen to musically, whatever you eat, how you sleep, is going to be what is going to be realized in the child that comes out. And much in the same way, a story will be born. It can be painful. It can be devastating. It is tremendously challenging. And the outcome, sometimes it disappoints. Sometimes it makes you the happiest person in the world. But documentaries are particularly challenging because the gestation period is that much longer. You never know. The story kind of comes out organically. You never know what's going to happen outside of the interviews that transpire.
That's true. You sit down with one person and then they tell you something and you're like, whoa, this is a side of the documentary that we didn't even need to know that we were touching on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm a big documentary person, so I'm excited to see what this one is. But so if you could, crystal ball it, 5-year plan, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where would you like to be in 5 years?
Well, I'd like to continue to make movies. My goal has always been, and I'm very open about this, is to continue to liberate myself creatively, to continue to be more picky and choosy with the projects that I'd like to do, to maximize my creative freedom. It is a Herculean effort in this industry where many people fight to just get a paycheck, especially now, in the pandemic. I'm very fortunate to have continued work throughout, but I want to create movies, continue to create movies, and I want to be able to maximize this this beautiful joy that I have whenever I read a script or listen to a story that truly speaks to me. It really is joy. I wake up every day and just like can't wait to get to it, even though I know the day's going to be horrible.
Yeah,
it's like it's the adventure of it, and that's a great thing. I think the landscape is changing constantly in the filmmaking world, particularly after the pandemic. I think it's going to change. It has changed studio films. It has changed the relationship between studios and theaters, much of the distress of theater and exhibition owners, whom I know firsthand, and also independent filmmakers. Financing needs to change with it, the way that people are getting financed. So that's why it's always the crystal ball idea is like, man, I wish I
yeah, because you just don't know what's going to happen. But thank you so much for doing this with me today. How can people find you if they wanted to follow your stories, or are you into that? I don't know if you're up to having. I can cut this out. I'm so awkward.
No. I just got an Instagram a year ago.
Okay.
Extremely late to the party doesn't even begin to describe this boomer-esque behavior.
Right.
I was also late to Facebook. So I think I got it like somewhere in the middle of college, where everybody's getting into high school and all that. I'm just like, why? This is stupid. I hate it. And so I just got Instagram. I have an account where I post mostly just photography because I'm a hobbyist. I post occasionally pieces that I'm working on if it's completed, or just images of set life and stuff like that. But really, I just like to kind of experiment with images and style. It makes me a better director, I think. If I'm behind the lens, just goofing off. So my username is MA Zervos, Zervos.
All right, so let's give him a follow and make sure we're, just staying in touch with what he's doing. It's Michael Angelo Zervos, and he is producer, director. He's written film, and he is wonderful, and we're excited to see big things happening for him down the line. Thank you so much for doing this, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, bye.
So much love in this heart of mine. Oh.